What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be different from my normal content because I was on the Beast Games reality show that was put on by Mr. Beast. As you can see, my number was 780. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in my life, and I met the most incredible people, and I just wanted to talk about it. So I posted over on my story, follow me here, a Q&A about all things Beast Games, including why I didn't take the 100K. So what episodes or where can you find me specifically 780 in the Beast Games? So in episode 1, you can see me a few times just amongst the crowd, but I do have a few signature shots in episode 2. Might look familiar. So that's all I'll say. Episode 2 is where you'll really see me shine. But other than that, that was about it. How did I get on the show? I'm so curious about the process. Well, basically, I've been following Mr. Beast since like 2017 when he first started going viral, and I've been a fan ever since. So, really anything Mr. Beast related, I watched every single video all the time, and I was just caught up on all things Mr. Beast. I found this Mr. Beast casting Instagram a few years ago, and I applied, and actually I got an interview from it, but nothing came of it. But then they posted again like 2 years later saying, we're looking for contestants for Beast Games. I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to finally be on a Mr. Beast video, because it was definitely my childhood dream to do that. I found him when I was 18, so I don't know if I was a child then. So I applied, basically told him my whole spiel. I'm already basically a full-time content creator and a show promoter for disc golf. I run my own expos. So if you want to come and support me at my disc golf expo, coming out to Disc East or Disc South, that'd be awesome. Well, basically, I just told them who I was, and that's what they're really looking for, just people that are outgoing and zany that do cool things. And I applied, and I went through the process. It was a long process, but in the end, they picked me because it was 2,000 people, so it was a pretty good chance. I felt that I was going to get picked because of just like the effort I put into the video and stuff like that. So I followed Mr. Beast casting, and then I applied on the application, and that was pretty much it. Nothing fancy. So I got a few questions of, did I win / am I still in the games? Technically, no one's still in the games because we filmed this back in August. In regards to elimination, I did get eliminated, unfortunately. It was on the towers. It was tough. I don't know. I could say so many times in the back of my head, like, should have done this, should have done that. But at the end of the day, I just kind of left it up to fate. I picked my token and I kept it. And whatever happened, happened. You know, everyone had their own reasons to be there. I didn't want to push anyone like, you should go, you should go. So I just kept it. And I kept silent, and whatever happened, happened. And unfortunately, I got eliminated. People need to realize that, like, at episode 0, which was on YouTube, we were there in Vegas for a whole week. And then we went to Toronto. So I was there for a week and a few days. So I had already a super full, gratifying, fulfilling experience. Even though I got eliminated in episode 2 and it looks like I was barely even there, I was there for a while. And just making it to the city, honestly, was a dream come true. Just hanging out with friends for 2 days. It felt like a real life video game. So the question everyone wants to know, do I regret not taking the 100K bribe? I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because in the scenario, we are all lined up at a platform. If one person takes the money, the rest are eliminated. I think I had 8 people in my row. So if I took the money, I would have had 8 people that I eliminated, which I understand. People are like, it's a game. That's what it's about. But the thing is, we were on the same team, and it was about trust. We told each other we're not taking the money. We wanted to make it to the city. And for me personally, I'm a Christian man. I try and have the utmost integrity in all things I do. As soon as I said to the people in my row that I'm not taking the money, I wasn't taking the money. Did I think it was going to go up to $100,000? No, I thought it'd be like maybe $50,000. But I owed it to these people that I would not take the $100K, because that would have been a breach of their trust, and it was just been very greedy of me, and I would have felt very guilty. And I remember on the platform just like praying, like that's a lot of money. You can do a lot of things and stuff like that. And I was like, should I take the money? And then just like I felt this like pit in my heart where it was like, you know, when you feel like shame, that type thing. And I was like, no. Like, I'm not taking the money. I said I wouldn't take the money. And that was the answer right there I needed. That pit after praying, it was clear as day. I wasn't going to take the money. Yes, it is a lot of money, but I've been very fortunate and blessed in my life. And I have a roof over my head. I have my own room. I'm getting married this year. Right now, I'm currently in my dream job, just being full-time in a sport that I absolutely love. And I have so many incredible opportunities that I've already had and that are coming up in the future, that to me, it was not worth sacrificing my name and reputation for $100K, because that's how it felt to me. And I understand it might not feel that to you. I understand you're going to say it's just a game. You just don't understand when you're in the moment and you're with these people that you're kind of bonded with over the same experience of we're trying to do the same thing. I will say a part of me, the reason I didn't take the money either, was that I wanted to go far. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I wanted to see how far I could get, and I was just having the time of my life. Legitimately the most fun I've probably ever had, so I wanted to keep that going, and that's another reason. I also want to say, I live in Massachusetts, so that $100K would have been probably like $60K after taxes. Again, I'm not downplaying $60K. It is a ton of money. I'm just saying it wasn't worth it to me personally. In my opinion, it would have been the wrong thing to do, because I told my teams I would not take the money. And guess what? We told each other, and we all trusted each other, and we did it. And it was such an incredible experience, just incredible, just human things. Just, you don't get that. I don't know. Where we all turned down $100K so we all could go together into the next level, which was something beautiful. So yes, I do not regret not taking the $100K. I think it was the right decision, and that's just me personally. But let me know in the comments if you would have taken the $100K, if you would have screwed over your teammates, or what you would have done. Most stressful elimination game. This is such a good question, because I know my most stressful elimination game, and that was the block stacking. So basically we had one red long rectangle, whatever you want to call it, in 3D, and we had to stack, I think, 15 blocks on top of it and have them sit. So my experience was actually a daunting one. I started to like stack each one on top of each other, but then I'm looking around and everyone's like combining them together, and I'm like, am I dumb? So that took me like 4 minutes out of my time, which, by the way, that was the quickest 10 minutes of my life. I don't even understand. It's like I looked down to readjust my blocks, and then it was a minute left. What's crazy is I built my tower with a minute left. It wasn't working out. I was trying to figure out. So then I took everything out. I look up. I'm like, how is it a minute left? And I start stacking it, making it compact, and then I get in time. Now, that wasn't even the most nervous part. What they don't tell you is that there was a bunch of, in everyone's box, there's a red ball. So if there wasn't enough towers that was knocked down at a certain point, we could all reach in to our box to get the red ball and start like sabotaging each other, throwing balls. So I'm thinking, I have to protect my tower. So I'm standing like right over, I built in the corner. And little did I know, obviously, that pretty much either people didn't get their towers up in time, or they all fell within like 30 seconds. So the red balls didn't come into play. But I didn't know this at the time. So I'm like there, like protecting. But then my leg is shaking more than I've ever experienced in my life. I've never been this more, like, for example, I was literally like this. I had to lock my legs for them not to shake. And then everyone's like, don't lock your legs, you'll faint. So I'm like trying to not lock my legs and then also lock my legs. But I was the most nervous I've ever been because I was like, I need to protect my tower and I want to advance. But there's a certain point where I was shaking so much that I was going to knock on my tower. So I had to slowly start backing up as I'm shaking. It took me like 5 minutes to back up all the way. And I finally got to a spot where I was just chilling, shaking still, but it was far away enough from my tower where it wasn't affecting it. And it stayed up pretty much the whole time. Like, I think when we all went to get bathroom breaks, I went left and someone knocked it over or something. So at that moment, it was the most nervous I've ever felt. I was absolutely shaking. But that's the thing I loved about the games. It was such a wide range of emotion that we just don't experience in everyday life. It was sadness. It was pure elation. It was depression. It was nervousness. It was stress. It was fear. It was like, we went through everything that you can't just like simulate in any other scenario unless it's like a really like crazy life experience, like, you know, life or death, or like you have this presentation to thousands of people, and if you don't do it correctly, then you don't get the fun. Like that type of stuff we don't really have every day in our everyday life. But those wide array of feelings and emotions, it was just, I don't know, hard to explain. Very cool to feel though, because like I said, it's not something we experience on the daily. But that was the most nerve-wracking. It wasn't even on the tower. The tower, I was just like, you know, I hope we win, but whatever happens, happens. Like, you know, it is what it is. Was it an enjoyable experience? I've kind of touched about this before in this video, but I'll kind of go a little deeper. Absolutely. I'll say it again, the most fun I've ever had. And I'll go even deeper. Vegas, we were in the Raiders Stadium. So this is for episode 0. That's on his YouTube. It's like 2,000 people compete for 5 million. Vegas, although like the things, you know, the allegations and stuff, like some of it was true where, you know, it wasn't really very organized and we weren't really fed that great. It was like an egg and tofu and quinoa and a TV dinner. But with all that being said, I still had and it's the most fun because it's like a real life video game. Everything else out of this world didn't matter. I wasn't stressed. I didn't care about, you know, what my family was up to or stuff. Obviously, I care about my family, but there was no way I was able to contact them. There was no way to know what was happening in the news. I'm pretty sure Joe Biden stepped down from running for presidency like as soon as we got out in Vegas. So like if we were there a day earlier, we wouldn't have known that national breaking news. It was literally just you and a bunch of people wearing the same thing. You couldn't tell who they were, their status, like anything, because we were all wearing the same clothes, so you couldn't judge them based off that. I met some people that had millions of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, and I had no idea because it was just such a cool social experiment where you were just talking to people because we were all in the same experience and we were all just friendly and having fun because we are all in this super unique experience. And it was all about just talking and communicating with people just on a basic human level. There's no judgment. There was no way. You couldn't judge anyone. You couldn't get any preconceived notions. You couldn't say, oh, that guy has 1 million followers, I gotta go talk to him, that'll help my career. It was just all organic and it was the coolest thing ever. So back to Vegas, I was there. We were sleeping in the Allegiant Stadium on the turf. Like, yes, not great sleeping, but that's what I expected with the games. I expected, you know, it to be gritty. But my favorite parts weren't the challenges. It was the time in between. Waking up, hanging out with your friends, just chatting. sitting down, no phone. That's another thing, no phone. Just like being one with nature, even though we're in the nature, but being one with each other and just hanging out and talking, having an absolute blast, just doing games you can come up with, and smuggling and holding festivals. It was crazy. Let's just say like everyone was detached from the world forever. Let's just say we were trapped in this Beast Games place for the rest of time. Feastables would have been equivalent to gold. Like our dollars would have been back to Feastables. That's how high of a commodity it was, which was hilarious. It was just so funny that we're all trading Feastables. When they all came, people were like hoarding them and hiding them because that was like our precious metal. That was like the hot commodity. If you had Feastables, you're wealthy. And it's because it was something sweet. We weren't getting fed like the most nourishing food, so that was like a really nice sweet treat. So whoever had the most Feastables in this economy was rich. But yeah, just sleeping on the floor and just hanging out with everyone. And then the after Vegas, when we were able to like hang out and go see the strip and go to the casinos and stuff like that with people you just met. That was also super fun. I was in Vegas for 3 more days after the games. After I got past the final challenge, it was just a really good time. As for the Beast Games, so the Beast Games experience was just unrivaled. They realized something happened in Vegas where someone messed up and they treated us like kings and queens. We went straight to Toronto. We were in a hotel every day. People don't realize that during the platforms, after each platform challenge, we went to a hotel. So those platform challenges were recorded over like 3 to 4 days. And after every time, we would go back to our hotels, just hang out and chill. We weren't sleeping on the platforms. It was once we got into the city where they had bunk beds and stuff like that, that's when you were like, okay, like you're not going back to the hotel, you're with each other, which is, I was in the city for 2 days. The city was literally incredible. Like what I would have done to at least stay there for 2 more days and just pass that challenge, I just loved hanging out with people. I keep saying it, but it just felt like a real life video game. It was just, only thing you were worried about was surviving that night. And you had no idea if you were coming back tomorrow. But it didn't matter because you were just in the present moment, trying to eat at the Feastables Cafe, hanging out with people you just met, and not knowing if they're going to be there the next day. So it was just a very just harmonious kind of, I don't know, just way of living, honestly. Just a harmonious way of living where you would wake up and just sit and chat and talk, and we had this whole city to ourselves, and then you go to bed and then wake up. Well, you had to try and pass a challenge. That was the scary part. I was definitely, I had a nickname on the show, sort of, not really, kind of self-appointed nickname, but everyone knew me because of my nerves. I got really nervous close to the challenges, and I got so nervous because I didn't want to go home. I wanted to keep experiencing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where like reality just isn't real, where all your needs are catered to. You have no idea what's going on in the world, and all you know is the people right in front of you, and that's all you can talk to. So I hope that makes sense. I know that was a lot of rambling, but that was my experience. We have friends who are friends with 781. Yo, shout out Ezra Robinson, and I'm guessing Isaac Robinson is also their friend. They're friends with friends of the person that was next to me on the platform, Ivy. So 781, we were on the platforms together. We just met on the platforms and, really got close there because that was basically your only support system. The people that were around you on the platforms, like Jazz, Clara, Aaron, Shayna, Julie. Can't forget Talk About Me, Julie, and Ivy. Those were like my people because we were all trying to make it to the next day on the platform. So you got really close to them because you were on those platforms for hours upon hours on a time. So yeah, that's really cool that Ezra and Isaac, friends, no, Ivy, mutuals. So I'm in disc golf. Ezra and Isaac are some of the top pros in disc golf. So if you are watching this because of Beast Games, consider coming to my channel and checking out disc golf and seeing what it's all about, and maybe checking out my expo. This is, again, totally unique content for me. I will go back to my regular disc golf content after I upload one behind the scenes for Beast Games where I actually vlogged what's going on. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I'm going to post that as well, where it's like we're vlogging actually me in Vegas, me in Toronto, and kind of behind the scenes. Anybody get into any fights? I don't know of any fights during the games. I saw one fight during the premiere. That's about it. By the way, it was so cool. This is a tangent, but we went to LA in December for the Beast Games premiere, and I was able to talk to Jimmy and meet him there again, and I got into the kind of celebrity showing. Shout out my boy Harrison, who turned down the $1 million. I just saw him in the lobby, and he had a wristband, and I also had a wristband that wasn't for the gathering. It was just the same color, so I kind of walked in with him and showed him, and then I got to talk to Jimmy, and he was super cool, and he was like, yeah, there's other contestants here. So that was awesome, and I got to meet boom, Big Justice, and there's a lot of cool things there, and just I got to meet people that I didn't know in the games that were contestants, and we stayed in the same Airbnb, and it was an absolute blast. Shout out Kendra, Akira, David, Ava, Ivy, Tyler, Cody, and Dimitri. That's all who I stayed with, and about half of those people I knew during the games and half I didn't, but it was really cool just walking down Hollywood and hanging out with them for a few nights. So that was awesome. Also, even though it wasn't part of the Beast Games, it was kind of an extension. It was like a reunion, because we were all in this. You got to see people that you haven't seen in a few months other than at the games. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a ton of people there that I just recognize because, I would be eating lunch with my friends and I would see them, because that's all you see. It was our own community. That's all you see. These people. It's like, imagine being in your high school class and just waking up every day in school. Eventually, you're going to get to know everyone and see everyone. So it was really cool to kind of at least kind of see everyone. And some of the people that stayed in the Airbnb that I didn't talk to in the games, like, we all like knew of each other and saw each other. It was just so many people we didn't talk in the games. But it was just cool that we all kind of knew of each other and knew each other. So always wondered how much your expenses were covered for a thing like this. 100% of my expenses. I don't think I lost a dollar. In fact, every contestant got $2,000. They paid for airfare, food, hotels, literally everything. So if you're concerned about, I want to do this, but I don't want to spend money, you won't. You'll only lose money if you gamble it in Vegas, which, if you're not a gambler, then don't worry. So Andrew Manganelli, if you guys know MKBHD, he's their studio manager. Go check them out. He asks, how many Sexton Firebirds could you buy with the grand prize? So this is a disc golf reference. If you're not in disc golf, you're not going to understand it. But a lot of Sexton Firebirds if I won the grand prize. Simple math tells me I would, the 2015 ones, if they all were still like around $1,000 each, let's just say 5,000 Sexton Firebirds if they're all 1,000. Also, shout out your favorite person you met. It's got to be me, Playboy, Drew Campbell, aka Drewbly. Really funny story. Drew, if you watch the games, he's the guy who's like, I want a jet ski in Lambo, and then he's yelling at the guy who dropped the ball. He's like, no, stop. You're in timeout right now. Stop talking. So that's Drew. I call him Drewbly. Really funny story. He was on a Jubilee video, and I watched that video probably like 6 months prior, and I watched the full video because my fiance is like into that Love Island reality, like dating, whatever. So I was doing work in the background. I started getting really into it, and I remember saying like, oh, this Drew kid's pretty cool, because the whole thing was like a lie detector test, and he was telling the truth a lot towards the beginning. Drew, obviously people towards the end started, you read the comments. Basically it was like a dating relationship, like lie detector thing, and he was telling the truth mostly, I think. And I didn't really watch, but I remember just seeing him at the Beast Games. I was like, no way, because he just stuck in my head as someone, because we watched that whole thing. It was like a 50-minute YouTube video, and I saw them, and I was like, yo, I saw you on Jubilee, and then we hit it off, and now I call him Jubilee, and yeah, so shout out him. Favorite person I met? The friends we met along the way. Everyone, you're all my favorite. All right, well, that's all I have for questions, really. I had a few others that, like, does Jimmy smell good? I'm not really sure. But if you like this type of content, I'm going to release one more video of a behind-the-scenes vlogs of me during the Beast Games, the whole process, before Vegas, after Vegas, before Toronto, after Toronto, like right when I get eliminated. So that I'm going to post a little later. But if you love disc golf and are into disc golf, this is what I mostly post. This is my main channel. So consider subscribing. And if you want to check out disc golf, consider subscribing. And I just want to thank you all for watching and listening, and leave a comment below of any additional questions that you might have, and I'll answer them. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Have a blessed day. See you later.